Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
First of the month, and happy Lunar New Year, everybody. Happy Year of the Tiger.
Happy Year of the Tiger. It's Court and Amy. It's ImmaletYou. I almost couldn't remember the name of it.
It's called, all right, let me help you. It's called ImmaletYouFinish. I was going to let you finish, but you can't even get, here, let me help you. Hi, it's Court and Amy, and it's the 81st episode of ImmaletYouFinish.
Thank you.
Courtney, no problem.
On the Pantheon Podcast Network.
I'm here for you. No problem.
I was like, and welcome to, what is this?
What's the name of this show again? And you are, and what? And who?
Oh God, it's it's the 16-degree weather. It's like, I don't do good in this cold weather. I'm a summer baby. This is like some foreign shit to me. I do understand now why people retire to Florida. I absolutely get that. Because as I'm getting older, I hate the cold. I was never a big cold fan, but I really hate it. I hate it. All right. So what's our first topic, Angela?
Angela? Oh, am I Angela Yee?
Yeah, Angela. You're Angela Yee today.
Oh, cool! I like her, and she owns a coffee company too.
And I think today I'll be a mesh between Envy and Charlemagne because I find them both annoying. So
so you can start talking and then shut yourself down.
Right.
And then Angela will just be the only voice of reason on the whole damn show.
And then I will promote my car show that is coming up this weekend at the
someone needs to, never mind. Or as people from New York City call car shows, parking lots.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Even though I do like the car show. Have you been to the car show?
I have been to, all right, we're going away. I have been to vintage shows, like outdoors at racetrack type of things. I've never paid money to go inside to look at cars.
But it's really fun. I love a car show.
No, I know they're cool, but I've never
really
done, I know what you mean. I've never done that, but I've been to like vintage car people outside with their crazy vintage cars, that kind of stuff. But I've never actually physically paid money to go look at a car.
And they've had that, like, I miss it because usually during Harlem Week, all the vintage car, the black guys who own all the vintage cars come out. I love that. And the boat show is here this weekend. I would love to do it. I'm just not really going around that many people.
All right. Wait, whoa. Stop.
I love that kind of shit. I do. No, the boats are really amazing. You get on these yachts, you see them, it's really great. They're in the Javits.
Okay, anyway, all right,
get popcorn.
All right. Well, speaking of popcorn, it has nothing to do with Spotify, but I just feel like saying, speaking of popcorn. All right. So obviously one of the big stories last week, and it continues, was that Neil Young, and then Neil Young said that he asked Spotify to take his content down. He did not ask Spotify to cancel Joe Rogan. He didn't say any. He just said, look, I don't feel like being on your platform anymore because Joe Rogan is spreading misinformation. So take my stuff down, him or me. And shockingly, Spotify said, I think we're going to go with the guy that we're paying $100 billion for. And Neil Young was like, it's all good. Took his shit down. I think only the Warner Brothers stuff. I think the Geffen stuff might still be up, but the and it was all fine. And then Joni Mitchell, in support of Neil Young, both of whom, it should be noted, are polio survivors. So, people who had diseases that can be cured by vaccines tend to maybe have more common sense. But of course, everybody's losing their minds because all the right wing are like, censorship. It's just absolutely.
And I'm always like, can you please learn what a word means? Nobody asked them to take him off the air.
Nobody said
No one said, hey, you know what? They just said what the brand of what he's spreading, cool, but I'm going to remove myself from this situation.
Right. I don't want to be associated with it.
You know, and I'm kind of over, this is, you know, you and I think we've had this conversation a million times about a million different things. Everybody has to stop conflating everything and putting all of these things in these small boxes because you water down these real issues. It's like, yes, there is freedom of speech, but people keep acting like there's no consequence to the speech. You can say whichever you want, but you also have to be ready to deal with the consequence that comes with that. This whole thing where everybody's just like, my rights. I'm like, first of all, if we talk about the way rights work, you know, we're talking about stuff that can't be regulated by law and regulation. You can't tell somebody in a private business, if I have a private business, I have the right to say, I don't like this, I do like this. But the whole idea of censorship to me is bullshit because we have taken lies and made lies the norm now. Like, it's like, we're not upset that people lie. You can just spread misinformation. Everybody just acts like it's okay. And then it all comes around to this weird shit where people are saying things like, well, you know, it's just people have a different opinion. A different opinion is fine. But we know that people are really saying crazy lies and conspiracy theories. And we're giving them this used to be some fringe shit. Now it's like, no, here it is. And this is normal. And people are believing it. I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe.
You are living in an alternate. No, you are. You know? You are living in it. It's a much deeper and bigger problem, which we could spend 5 shows talking about. Right. But the fact is that there is a complete lack of intellectual curiosity in most of this country. Right. People don't know how to critically think anymore. Right. The internet is a great thing, and it's also a curse because people see something in front. Listen, when this whole thing happened, when Neil Young pulled his music and then Joni Mitchell and Solidarity pulled his music, and then Nils Lofgren, who is the guitar player for Bruce Springsteen. He is not Bruce Springsteen, but all of a sudden people are posting, and now Bruce Springsteen. No, the guitar people just see something and they go with it. I mean,
they don't read the headline. They read the click. The headline is it.
And the thing, look, I mean, for many reasons, I mean, I don't find Joe Rogan interesting, intelligent, and go down the list. I think Joe Rogan's sins extend far beyond COVID misinformation. I mean, some of the stuff he says, it's just mind blowing. Now,
he's saying some shit about black this week. I'm like,
well, he has Jordan Peterson all the time, who I find very proud. That said, I remember back in the day, I'm sure you did too, we used to listen to Howard Stern on AM radio. Mm-hmm. No one was more offensive than Howard Stern.
Real deal T.
I loved him, but it was
too.
a different world. There wasn't this marketplace for this kind of insanity. He was just talking stupid crap. To me, what kind of blows, okay, so now Spotify has said, we're going to put disclaimers up. It's an opinion show. What took them so long? We're 2.5 years into a pandemic, and Joe Rogan, right or wrong, has been saying this stuff from the very beginning. So, like, why? I mean, I'm glad they're doing it, but it's kind of like a little too late at this point, right?
Well, it's all so dumb, right? And the other thing that's dumb is I look at people like, okay, great. Who the fuck is Joe Rogan that you guys are acting like he is some medical professional and scientist? He's some guy just like us with a fucking microphone and people who listen to him. That does not make but it's interesting how that all of a sudden everybody takes as, well, he knows because he's got a show, or, you know, but because he's saying it. Because somebody says it doesn't make it true. Like all of these weird people who are coming on like, I'm a doctor of this that you've never heard of. And you're like, well, that guy said it. So it aligns with what I feel and is true. You know, it's just weird. Like,
but this is the whole idea.
You don't have to listen to Joe Rogan. That's what I say to people. If you don't like him, don't listen to him. I've never listened to one of his shows.
Me neither.
I think he has a right to say whatever he wants to say.
I don't.
Well, you do. I think there's a consequence. I've said it before.
He has a right to say it, yes.
But there's a consequence to everything. And right now, he's not really going to have a consequence, right?
No.
They're going to put a disclaimer on that no one ever listens to the disclaimers.
It's not going to make any difference. Yeah. Spotify's sins are so much greater than this on so many different levels, which is but
the quality of how the music sounds. Yeah, the fact that artists don't really get paid a fair wage.
There are so many other sins. I think if we did a deep dive into almost all corporations, we would not be happy as to what's going on. But, I just find it hilarious that people saw this as some attack on freedom. It's like all Neil Young said was, I really don't want my music with this guy. And Spotify said, cool. And that's it.
And
no harm, no foul.
And I'm looking at everybody like, where exactly is the attack on freedom?
There's no attack.
Explain. And I need them to explain to me what the fuck that means when you're saying that we're talking about a show that not once have you seen anybody say it's suspended, we're taking it off the air. Yeah. No one has asked for it to be suspended. People are just asking for a balance of information. If you're going to be putting all of this shit up here, can we have a balance, at least send people to go so they can get information and really get some accurate information in this?
Well, I think it's also because and it's mainly because it's the severe, political differences are one thing. When you're dealing with a public health issue, it is irresponsible, in my opinion, this is not censorship. It is irresponsible to have a public figure being paid to willingly and knowingly disseminate false information. Joe Rogan can throw his hands up and go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Am I doing that? All he wants. He knows what he's doing. He's not a stupid guy.
Well, he's not, but he's also an entertainer. He's an entertainer and he's a provocateur. So that's his brand,
Yeah, but you still do not have the right to disseminate medical information. You want to talk about Trump, You want to talk about, look, we live in a nation of very unintelligent people. Let's be honest. You and I are privileged that we live and we know intelligent people. Most people, or a good quarter of this country, is not that smart. They have been brainwashed and they believe this stuff. So you know what? If Joe Rogan and his listeners want to scream and yell about freedom of speech, no one has taken anything away from you. Go to a country where you get killed for speaking your mind. You have $100 million in the bank, Joe Rogan. I have zero sympathy for you. And if your listeners are so stupid that they want to take horse tranquilizer or whatever it is, horse dewormer, to deal with an easily treatable illness, then good. Die. But I applaud Neil Young for taking the stand. Again, I applaud Joni Mitchell. It would have been nice if some younger artists who might have made a real impact did it, but But they did make an impact. Neil Young. They did. Neil Young. And Joni coming in is great, but Neil Young on his own is big enough where, he made that, took that hit in their stock. Listen, I don't care. We know they'll get that money back, but no one likes to see their valuation jump down. Exactly.
No one likes to see $2 billion in losses. That just no one wants to see that.
Right.
Because they realize that is a bleeding, and they are ultimately, like everybody, Spotify is a tech company. They're not a music company. They're not a music company. So all of those numbers to them mean more than anything else. So you're right. Anyway, what's next?
Well, let's Janet.
Okay. It's not, because here's the thing. I really enjoyed Janet.
There was, all right, we should,
let me start.
Janet Jackson documentary.
I love Janet Jackson. She is my queen. I'm Black of a certain age. I grew up with Janet. Janet is my girl. I love her. I have all the albums, blah, blah, blah. And I really enjoyed this documentary as a piece of Janet's very private. She doesn't really give us anything, so I'll take a little bit of the crumbs. Now, with that being said, I was like, there's a lot of missed opportunity here. There's missed opportunity. There's things like we would start something, go to a commercial break, come back, it was something completely different. I'm like, well, wait, what happened with okay, I guess that's all we want to know about that. I'm trying to,
It was not a good documentary. It was not a good documentary, whether it was interesting or not. As a piece of filmmaking, it was very flawed.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
You and I discussed it. First off, anytime you have the subject of the documentary as the executive producer, that's problematic. Okay. This is not if they had done a tour documentary, that would have been different. But this was supposed to be a tell-all. Well, the problem is, or a tell-a-lot. The problem is Janet, and she's entitled to be. is very private and very reticent. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm going to do a documentary and tell you my story, but I'm really not going to tell you anything that you didn't already know. Right. Number one, you're totally right about the starting and stopping. I'm watching and they have the whole thing about her husband, Renee, suing her afterwards. And that was a big news story.
It was.
That was a huge, because that was like the first time people realized they were married is when he came out. And then also they bring that up and it's done. It's like,
well, what happened?
What happened?
Because I remember there was like some settlement, but it was just kind of like, yeah, and you see him being really cunty coming for the money. And then next thing it was like, I got like,
and it's done.
And you're like, so
and
wait.
It's like, did he win? Did he not win? I mean, I was like, I'm so confused. What happened here? So there's just...
And here's the thing. I worked at MTV for 1 year. 2 major things happened in a year. I was a booker in the news and docs department. The MTV's second year producing the halftime show, and that was the Janet Jackson show. And I was there for Madonna kissing Britney and Christina. So I was in the 8 a.m. meeting the Monday after the Super Bowl, when everybody from MTV who was in Texas flew back overnight because it was so crazy. They had to be back in New York on Monday morning. And I just remember all the things that were being said. And I'm looking at Janet and I'm just kind of like, all right, I see you trying to exonerate Justin. We're still friends, blah, 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 blah. But I know you've kind of said what was supposed to happen, but I know this from the things that I remember. You got off stage, you said you were crying. But your people, how did they know we need to leave? Because suddenly they cleaned out all the dressing rooms. And as you're walking, you go directly basically into a car and you all leave the premises immediately. So when there's an accident, somebody, at least management, is going to stay there because all hell is breaking loose to be like, da-da-da-da. It's packing up the dressing rooms after any show. It takes a minute. So why were they so prepared to leave? What was actually supposed to happen? Why did you change your choreography in the 11th hour and no one knew? There was just weird shit that it was just kind of like, yeah, of course this was an accident. Yeah, okay. Just few things where I'm like, you need to take a little more agency in some of the shit that has happened around you. Because I'm noticing it seemed a little like these things kind of happen, but then you just jump to something else and it's like, well, I guess we're just done talking about that. I mean, it was weird. I didn't see
the point of this. I mean, I said, I mean, I found it very funny. It's funny. This is a woman who has lived under the shadow of her brother, for right or for wrong, for most of her career. And yet she chooses to spend a good third of her documentary talking about her brother. If you want to get out from under the shadow, stop talking about him.
Well, actually, I think in telling, I saw that differently, because what I saw was her telling her story of her life and the music being like kind of, this is what was going on during those albums, which is why the music seemed almost to take a back seat. And I think what she was trying to show was how she could never escape that, and everything that he was doing was affecting her career and all of those different steps.
That's true, but I will.
So that's how I kind of really.
I will tell you, I saw her one tour. I forget the tour was with whenever Black Cat, and then the tour afterwards.
That was the Rhythm Nation tour. Yeah.
Okay, and no, she's up there every night asking everyone to pray for her brother Michael. Yeah, and it was so. Please. What do you mean, please?
That's her brother.
That's her brother. But you can't sit there. You cannot. I don't even want to. But the point is, you can't.
But what's that judgment? I don't get that judgment. So you can't. I just
found it so. It was so fake. It was just so fake. It was the same prayer every night at the same point of the show.
Well, here's the thing, Amy. That's not fake, because as a person who does shows, those shows like that are very timed. So
I know
where you talk, and usually all of that stuff. You go to any of those shows, except for maybe like a Prince, but even Prince, a lot of people are scripted on what they say in those parts of the show. So I don't think that was really, I think she really felt that was her brother. That was her first tour. She was really young.
No, this isn't the first tour.
No, the one where she asked to pray for Michael was wasn't that the first tour?
When when Tony was opening up.
Oh, shit. That was the Janet tour.
Yeah.
That was the Janet. Oh, you remember when Tony opened up?
When they got thrown off the bill for being better than her? Allegedly. Anyway, the game back.
You are not going to, let me just say this right now. As much as I get mad at, you will, but I'm always going to fight and defend Queen Janet. Yes, I felt like I didn't learn anything new from this documentary. But at the same time, she gives so little, I'll take the morsels from her. I do feel like it was a missed opportunity. That's what I will say it was a missed opportunity because I don't feel like I knew all these things about you. Now,
but we're not civilians, though. I mean, let's in the documentary defense, these things are not. You and I are like between us, and we're not like those were Renee's hands on her breast. Like, duh, we knew that already.
And the one thing that I found interesting was we went from one thing to, and then I'm a mom and pregnant. I was like, how'd you get pregnant? Where's the?
Well, we know, Courtney. Let me tell you where babies come from. Okay, so the mommy.
I know that. I'm just like there was no acknowledgement that she got married again.
That might have been an NDA situation.
Clearly.
That's a very litigious, very rich, very religious man.
Clearly.
Yeah, there was just a lot. I mean, look, I wish her a happy life. She seems like a nice person. It's very sad that women have constantly have to clean up after the men in their lives.
Well, you know what? I didn't know she didn't want to do fame. I didn't realize that. So I thought it just seemed like the first part of her career seemed like she didn't want to, most of that. She just wanted to go to college and her father made her do those things.
Yeah, I thought the stuff with Jam and Lewis was the best stuff in it, but they're always the best thing in everything because they crack me up like nobody's business. Barry Bonds, what was that? Who was that? Why did was he walking by the studio and he's like, Barry Bonds is up there? And I'm like, that's great.
In my head, for some reason,
was he in a video?
I kind of remember them being friends from like way back or some shit. But they could have at least been like friend because everybody else was like friend, choreographer. They were just like Barry Bonds. And it was like, oh, well, one Barry Bonds. Why are you here?
Why are you here?
And did they call you in? Did they call you in to come down to say one line? And that was it?
No, the whole thing.
Whole interview with that.
Like I said, I mean, it was fine. She's somebody who engenders to me no bad will. She seems like a nice person. Mm-hmm. I found it very funny that like this, the women on the internet were like, oh my God, how could Jermaine cheat on her? Because men cheat. It doesn't matter. Just because Janet's very pretty doesn't mean she's like a joy to be around, or whatever. I actually think Jermaine Dupri came off fantastic in the thing.
He did. He came off well.
He came off like a good guy.
Out of all of the men,
he came off the best.
He came up, and first of all, I've worked with him. He's a really nice guy.
I have heard he's a very nice guy too.
Really nice guy. Yeah. And, listen, I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I love her. And, listen, missed opportunity, yes. But I'll take, if Janet gave me another morsel and said, here's the next hour and it's just me sitting in the room staring up, I'd be watching it mesmerized for an hour.
You know what I thought was so funny? And then we'll move on. So they do all this like B-roll about the video shoot for that last song the one that they shot in Brooklyn.
Made for Now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's like, we're showing all the setup and there's like Brooklyn. And it's like
not a clip from the video. Right.
Yeah. I'm like, why are we doing why are you setting me up for all this? Something's about to happen and nothing happens.
Or another missed opportunity, play a clip from the new song. And you didn't release the new song this last weekend when everybody is just talking about
Janet. Yeah, what's the point?
That's the kind of publicity you can't fucking buy. Everyone is talking about her. That song should have been out on Friday.
Right. Well, let's briefly talk about, I think, a woman that doesn't even need to make a record anymore because she's so great. Rihanna is having a baby. Congratulations. She's having a baby with A$AP Rocky. All the snarky comments. I'm sorry. Everybody can go F themselves with the snarky comments.
Yeah. It's like, listen,
she's a grown woman. If she thinks the guy is good, he's good. He's not going to beat her up. If he's an asshole, he's an asshole. Women have had babies with assholes for generations.
And I'm sure a lot of those people sitting there snarky, making comments or looking over at their kid and being like, yeah, I hate your father. So it's all right. Yeah. It's like, listen, Rihanna's a grown woman. She is 33. It is a blessing. She wants a kid at 33. That's the purpose. It's time to have your baby. Have your kid. Good for her.
And it's going to be and she can afford it. It's going to be an adorable kid. She's not going to be.
Rocky seems like he's really excited for his first kid. So you know what? I'm happy for them.
There's nothing negative about this at all. So people saying snarky things just need to really stop. It's like this. You never wish a pregnant woman ill will. Sorry.
How about let's stop wishing anybody ill will anymore?
Well, no, there are people you can wish ill will, but not Rihanna. You want to wish Marjorie Taylor Greene ill will? Go for it. But
I don't even acknowledge that exists. Rihanna is. Yeah, you know what? Rihanna don't hurt.
She's never made a false move.
You know what I'm saying?
Has she ever made a false move? Seriously,
right?
She never has to put out an album again, and she will be just fine.
And everybody's like, "Oh, she's pregnant." I'm like, that doesn't mean you can't get a record, people, because there was some rumors that she shot some videos over the summer, and many women have Beyonce put out 2 records pregnant, 4 and Lemonade, and promoted them both.
Come on.
Nana Cherry, I mean, Halsey, just, people
having a baby is not a medical condition.
Hey guys, here's a fun fact. Nobody multitasks better than a woman. Really?
Well, we have no choice.
Nobody. I'm pretty sure if she wants to put out a record, she can multitask it. And guess what? You won't get a tour right now. That's fine. But because I've seen her live, it's not the best live show you could ever see. Believe
I've heard that too, but that's
you know what I mean? She's got all the hits, but we love her. So
we love her.
If she drops a record and she's filmed some visuals for you kids, you will all be happy and let her have her 2 bundles of joy. You will survive it.
You will be happy. You want to talk about the Super Bowl real quick, because that's where I don't.
This was my football weekend.
2 teams are in it, right?
The Super Bowl is First of all, the last 2 weekends of football has been amazing.
That's what I've heard.
Really, really, really amazing. But playoff football is always good. And now the Super Bowl is coming, and we've got. I think it's going to be a great, 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 great game. I mean, Odell is going to the Super Bowl. Our Odell Beckham Jr. with the Rams is going to the Super Bowl. And because Odell was drafted by the Giants, and I've hated watching how they've really tried to fuck his career over. I mean, I know he hasn't helped a little bit with some of his shit, but Odell ain't never fucking hurt nobody, and he should still be a Giant. But you know what? The fact that he is not is the reason why he's going to the Super Bowl. So I'm really happy for him. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati, I'm happy for them, but I really want to see Odell Beckham Jr. get a ring in 2 weeks, and I will be watching. Well, it's the year
of the Tiger, so it does favor the Bengals.
But you know what? He was aren't the Tigers also from LSU? He was an LSU Tiger, Odell, so he could.
That's true. I don't care. I don't. Football is not my sport. It's not it's not my sport. I watch. It's just not my sport. It never has been. And
you don't really eat a lot of the Super Bowl food, so you wouldn't even go because the wings.
I enjoy nachos.
Oh, do you? Do you like a nacho? Of
course I do. Excuse me. Melted cheese on something fried. Hello.
I do love a nacho.
Hello. I do love a nacho.
I love a nacho.
I mean, what's wrong? How can you not love a nacho?
How can you not love a nacho?
I mean, come on.
My friend Rashawn hates cheese. She won't eat cheese.
I'm not a huge, it's not cheese if it's on a nacho.
I mean, it's really not. And I need some jalapenos on there.
That's a whole different thing.
All of it. Oof,
you know who's big into...
except I don't like those nachos with that fake cheese. I don't like the movie theater nachos.
No. Those are disgusting. Yeah, no. I'm talking about the ones where you have to pull the string and it's going... Or the queso. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love that. Me too. Yeah,
I know. Sarah Weinstein is the queso queen, by the way.
Really?
Sarah, we know you're listening because you're a fan. Sarah Weinstein is from Texas, which you would never believe in a million. And
Sarah
that girl
Weinstein's
knows
from
her.
Texas?
She is from San Antonio, and she loves her some queso. Mm-hmm. And she is like the queso. She can tell you where to get the best queso in New York City. I am serious. Because she
Texas
planned
girl.
a birthday party for me once, and she took us to Quesoville. No, we love you, Sarah. But she is like, when I was like, you're from Texas? Really?
Why did I think she was a New Yorker?
Of course, because she is.
She is such a New Yorker. I had no idea she's a Texas
girl. She is from San Antonio, and she knows queso. That's going to be on her business card.
Right.
Knows queso. Yeah. Hi, Sarah. We love you.
Now, of course, I'm hungry, and I want something with melted cheese.
This is late for us. Now, this is late for us. I'm already like, all right. Speaking of cheese, you want to talk about Adele? I can't. I've run out of things to say about her. I've run out of things. I'm going to sit here and go get a snack.
All I'm going to say is, because y'all have been hearing it every week, stunt queen realness. I don't know
what. By the way, heterosexual. I have still no. Does that just mean somebody who's showing off?
That's means somebody who does stunts, and you're thinking it's one thing, but it's really some fucking bullshit. the tears and my show ain't right. Ain't right. It's like
we can't. Oh no, we're gonna turn on Adele.
It's like no, I love Adele.
Right.
But you pulled a stunt. You pulled one, and sometimes when you pull a stunt, and we're seeing now that it's a stunt, and all of these things are coming out like, yeah, it's like, girl. Anyway. Next, what's next?
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I just think it's like hilarious. By the way, I'm the last person to heard that we don't talk about Bruno's song, and that's like now the number one song in the country. And it's it's a really cute song, but I'm like, wow, has there ever been like a cartoon song that's overtaken like a real song?
Yeah, they've had number one. Like, wasn't like Colors of the Wind was a big
number one single?
I think so. And like, the songs from fucking all those Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast, all of that.
Number one. No, seriously, I'm being number one. Well, anyway, she has been displaced by a cartoon.
Yeah, but what makes this one is it's not one of those names. There was Peebo, Bryce, and Regina Bell.
No,
Peebo,
it's nobody. It's nobody famous.
It's right. Yeah, you know what I mean. And
it's just it's not. I shouldn't say it's nobody's famous. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Right.
It's not like Celine Dion stepping in and singing the song. Right.
It's not like before with the Disney films and those.
It's Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's what that. But it is a very cute song. But I'm like, oh my god, you've been displaced by a cartoon.
And the album, I think, went to number one. It's like the kids are loving this movie. It's become it's supposed to be really
good.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a really good movie. I love cartoons, so I have no problem with that at all. Wow. Okay, I just told you. Oh, okay. So Whoopi. Speaking of cartoons,
y'all.
You would think somebody who has adopted a Jewish last name might bone themselves up a little bit about the Holocaust, just a little tiny bit. So speaking for all Jewish people, here's to quote Courtney, here's the thing. There are many things you can say about many things, but the one thing that is universally agreed is that the reason that Jews were not considered to be that's why the Germans called themselves the master race. If you're the master race, that means everybody else is the inferior race. So yes, while Jews in Germany may have been Caucasian, they were not considered to be white people. They were not considered Aryan. So in a discussion about the banning of books and the banning of mouse, which is just ridiculous, and that's a whole nother conversation, Whoopi Goldberg basically positioned that this was not an issue about racism because this was white people doing something to white people. Technically, no. So she's had to backtrack. And
again, but like, again, I love Whoopi Goldberg. I really do. I'm a huge, but sometimes she opens her mouth and it's like, bitch, what is wrong with you? What are you saying?
What I don't get honestly about it, because what she was saying. I mean, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, and she has apologized. And I think it was, I don't think it was if I've offended somebody, I apologize. I think it was a sincere apology.
Yeah, it was a sincere apology.
But what just sort of blows my mind is this is an intelligent woman who is in show business, who grew up in New York City, who has been around, that this was some news revelation to her that the Germans didn't view the Jewish people as being white or as being of a different race. It's like, really, Whoopi? Like, you've literally been in the epicenter of Jewishness your entire career. How is this a newsflash to you? And that she kept resisting the pushback from everyone on the panel saying, no, Whoopi, the German, I found that to be bizarre.
But I mean, if
it had been Meghan McCain, it wouldn't have surprised me. But I'm like, Whoopi, you're brighter than this.
Do you remember her fight about racism across the table back when Rosie O'Donnell had come back to the show? And they were talking about it, and she was like, and Rosie, listen, she's like, I'm raising a black child in my house. And Whoopi's yelling at her, you can't know racism because you're not black. And she's like, you're saying I can't know racism because I'm not black? And she's kind of like, yes. And it's going at it. And just like, listen, I think everybody knows what racism is, right? And I think if it's coming from one side, especially as something from a white side for generations that's been, used against black people, I don't think you can tell some white person who's saying, I absolutely do understand racism, that they don't. And she would not. And it's like, yes, as a Black person, we know racism from a whole different angle. And
of course, yeah.
But that does not mean that white people don't know racism either. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So she will die on the hill with some shit and almost not hear people when they're saying, but what you're saying. And I can understand her trying to make a point. She's thinking she's saying this intelligent thing, but it's like, you have to also understand how something's being received. Because that's a lesson I've had to learn about. I'm saying this and I just mean this, but the way it's coming out my mouth, because I'm moving fast and I'm sure people are receiving it in a different way than intended.
I'm just surprised that she's too bright. I mean, I'm neither here nor there about her talent, but she's too bright for that. That's why it surprised me. And I'm not like a knee jerk, oh my God.
You're not.
I was like, come on, everybody, come on. That's not a man's inhumanity to man issue.
Even I was just kind of looking over like, you're going to die on this hill?
Yeah, really. Like, this is not the one you want to. Yeah, it's like saying, oh, yeah, it wasn't racism. You know, it wasn't. Yeah, no, kind of was. You know, it kind of was. But she has apologized. I accept, you know, speaking on behalf of
she did on Colbert last night.
It was sincere.
And I'm pretty sure
she'll talk about it.
I'm sure when the View opens up today at 11, she will have something.
But it wasn't a bullshit apology.
No,
it is actually
wasn't.
Like, it was an actual.
I mean, you changed your last name to Goldberg, lady. Your name is Karen Johnson.
Yeah. Well, it's catchy. It's catchy. You watched the Cosby doc, right? I didn't watch it.
I said to myself, I'm just gonna watch one episode to see.
Oh, it's like a multi-episode.
It's four episodes.
Okay.
And I found it fascinating.
Okay, what's the name of it? But what did you know?
We need to talk about Bill Cosby.
Oh my God, that's great. So we don't talk about Bruno. We need to talk about Bill Cosby.
We need to talk, and it's W. Kamau Bell.
Oh, okay, he's cool.
Now, there was so much I didn't know because I had no idea that Bill Cosby went to do two different high schools and didn't graduate, ended up getting a GED in the service. I didn't realize that he went to Temple and didn't really graduate. And then they kind of gave him a degree. And then he started, there's some question around his master's and did he write this thesis? And then they're like, the thesis was on Fat Albert. There's all of this weird shit with the honorary degrees and him positioning himself as this massive education when he wasn't that great in school and kept dropping out in different shit. And then just the stories of the women. And this one is really interesting because you hear some women tell their story and it's just different, being like, he gave me the Quaalude, I took it, it was really strong, he gave me a second one. And you're just hearing it differently. I just would suggest, watch it. It was different than what I thought. And honestly, I've been hearing rumors about Bill Cosby since the 90s, if I can be honest with you. It's like, I feel like people know when certain people do certain shit. You've been around the industry a long time, and there's certain people know people's shit. Mm-hmm. And I always find it interesting that when you saw the people who took up and stood up for Bill Cosby, it was certain women, none of the men that he hung out with. Not one. All of those comedians, not one. You see the Black men who are always like, we grew up with him and they're trying to protect him in that. But none of the people who worked with him, hung out with him in Vegas. Then they talk about how on his show, there was always a parade of young women and models that would be coming in and they would be sending them to the dressing room. And one woman was like, I really don't want to go. And they were like, you need to go. And so there are other people around who kind of knew there was some weird shit going on. And for me, though, you all should be, I don't know. I have this thing about people who help facilitate stuff and then always want to come back later and say, yeah, I saw all of these things and it was weird. It was like the times where, when Michael Jackson was on trial, then suddenly all these people were like, well, I saw this kid in the bed. I'm like, well, you did nothing. So how do you come back years later and act like you're a hero for saying something? If you all do nothing, you enable behavior that might make you uncomfortable because you're like, well, I need this job. So there's a lot of, it was interesting. I think you should watch it. I just think you should watch it, and we can have a conversation offline about it, and just tell me what you think and your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't something, honestly, and this is that I wanted to watch, is because I find him to be so repulsive. I don't even like want him in my mind.
Yeah.
But I will check it out if I can. I will check it out because I just find him to be such a repulsive human being. On so many levels, and as far as I'm concerned, he's scum. Sorry, talented, funny, made great television, but just a repulsive human being. So, you wanted to, what do we want to do here? What are we doing? You want to talk about
Justin Trudeau calling the trucker convoy a fringe community, and then a 45-mile long envoy headed to
this story is impacting. I will say one thing about Justin Trudeau. I would much, Canada's a fantastic country. He seems like he sometimes reminds me of one of these guys that because he has like black friends or that it gives him a license, like white guys who date black women.
Very Michael Rappaport.
Or Bill Maher.
They're thinking they're just so down, they're so cool.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is that Justin Trudeau, I don't know about the inner workings of Canadian politics, and it is a much better country than the United States in many ways. And then there's problems of, all countries. But he just seems like he'll say these like really racially and ethnically and politically insensitive and tone deaf things. And we're always like shocked because he's cute and his father was hot and his mother slept with one of the Rolling Stones, that he would do that. So that said, COVID deniers and people who don't want to get vaccinated are fools. So.
And it's happening everywhere, kids. What's next?
I heard there was the Golden Globes happened a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God, did they actually happen?
I think so. But the thing is, we've actually literally talked about them more happening than they actually happen.
It's like,
but the funniest thing is, we were saying this yesterday, like, look, the Golden Globes are completely made. I'm going to have an award show next week too, called The Spoonie Presents. And my cat's going to give out awards to people. Who cares? But what's so funny is that usually after the Golden Globes, there's these massive ad campaigns about Golden Globe winning. And people don't even want to admit that they won one of these things. It's like when I was making up our playlist this week on Spotify, I was like, I hope nobody sees that I'm using Spotify. I feel really bad. I feel really guilty.
We had such shame. We were like, fuck, did we?
I know.
We put it somewhere else.
I'm like doing it under my desk. I'm like under my desk. I'm writing checks for like COVID relief funds. And like under my desk, going, don't tell anybody it's on Spotify, please. So it's like the Golden Globes, like, oh, my movie won a Golden Globe, but I just don't want to tell anybody because I'm really embarrassed.
It's like the Soul Train Awards. Who votes for that? Soul Train hasn't been on the air for 15 years.
I was going to say, now that is a really good.
It has not been on the air for 15 years.
That is a really good question. So what is it? The ghost of Don Cornelius comes up?
Right, because he's not even alive.
No, I was going to say.
Votes for a Soul Train
That
Award?
Is a really good question. There is, who voted for it before? The dancers? That Korean woman with the long hair? Was she like the head?
Because they didn't even get paid. The only thing they got was box fried chicken.
But that's
lunch.
what I'm saying. So what was it? Like the guy who, like the really good pop locker who voted? These are important questions. You know what? Why are we discussing politics and COVID when these are the important questions we need
and
to
the
have
Oscar nominations come out next week for movies that no one has seen. So that will be very exciting.
Well, some of them, I mean, I'm trying. I watched Passing the other day. I did watch that.
And what'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was beautifully done. Beautifully done. I thought that, God, every time I see Alexander Skarsgård, he reminds me of a friend of mine. So I'm just always, I thought it was really well done. I mean, it was beautifully shot, really well done. I
like Ruth Negga a lot. I like
I love her.
Yeah,
I think she's really, I just finished watching her in this Irish show that she got her start in, where she must have been like 16, and she's just the Hall of Fame nominations are very soon too.
Oh, that's exciting. Do you think sometime this week, hopefully?
Yes, I think so. I think sometime this week.
Are we going to be surprised?
Wait, voices are good. I'm not going to be surprised.
No, I said, do you think the public will be surprised at who the new eligible people are on the ballot?
I'm trying to remember who's on the ballot. I don't think so. I think people will be happy.
Okay.
Or not.
Right. Right.
The important thing is that there will be some overweight white man screaming, "That's not rock and Well,
Right.
and that's all that really matters, isn't it? Is that if you piss off the Joe Rogan audience, because that's all that really matters at this point. All right. Anything you've been listening to, watching, talking about? Voices inside your head telling you to do anything interesting this week?
I've been,
your skin looks very good, by the way.
Thank you so much. Listen, it's like I would like to.
No, it does. My skin looks like shit, so I'm fishing for compliments.
I would like to. Oh, you look great. I would like.
No, I don't.
I would like to thank Jesus. I would like to thank Jesus and Allison Pember for the new products that she sent me.
Wait a minute. How do I get on the Allison Pember product list?
A Mr. Porter Advent 7-day Advent calendar, and it had all of these so I've been using the serums.
Right, I need to start liking more of Allison's postings.
I'm feeling very luxurious.
No, I'm gonna need to start saying amazing things about those dogs of hers. Those dogs don't even look real. They're so cute.
No,
those are like the most toys.
They're like complete show puppies, honey.
No, those are not even real. Those are not real animals. No,
and you didn't even meet. You didn't know she had Quincy. Was it Quincy and Herbie before? Those are the first two I met when she had them down in Houston when we all worked at Music World. She's a Pomeranian girl. She loves her.
No, those dogs are too freaking cute. But anyway, so other than Allison making you look good,
I've been feeling.
Hi, Allison.
Hey, I've been feeling. Okay, two things. How could I forget this?
That's because I distracted you.
I've been having an obsession with this really weird Aretha Franklin album. It's called Hey Now Hey, The Other Side of the Sky.
It's with the weird cover, right?
It's with the really weird cover. And I believe this album came out in 1973. And it is the beginning of the slide, what people consider the Atlantic years, where we go from the big hits to all of those 70s albums that didn't do great. They weren't really that great, to her leaving. Now, this album was produced by Quincy Jones. And when they first started recording this album, it was going to be a jazz record. But now it turned into like this weird fusion record. And it had the song that everybody would probably be most familiar with is the Caroline Franklin penned Angel, which was
right. Okay.
But the album it's really psychedelic and weird and out there, but I love it because that is, even though we're entering a period of not great albums and not great music for her, we're also entering a period where her voice is, to me, inarguably at its peak and at its best.
Okay.
So they got some weird songs, what is this? Like Mr. Spain, where she's singing about heroin, but you also have
always a fun topic for a pop song.
But you also have her version of Somewhere from West Side Story, where she plays piano on it, and her voice is amazing. It's just peak Aretha. That, and for some reason, I have been listening to Irene Cara's first solo album.
Yeah, you're gonna. I have to tell you that you preface every time you listen to something with "for some reason." I think we know what the reason is, Courtney. It's you.
I think I'm.
I think you're the reason.
Really? Am I the drama?
I think you are the one. I was like, for some reason, I'm listening to the third album by Pebbly Poo. Right. I don't know why.
I don't either. But
the one that's in Swiss German.
Right. Well, this is her Geffen record album. Remember, like Irene Cara was a big deal, and they thought she was going to have a huge recording career because Fame and Flashdance. And so this album has The Dream, Breakdance, and my song Why Me? I love Why Me. So I've been listening to that a lot lately, which is completely random, but I love it. It's very 80s pop, R&B light / dance girl. And I love Irene Cara, and she's another one of those careers where it was supposed to be a big thing. And remember, she sued her management for making bad management choices, and her career never kind of got back on track. But
wait a minute, an artist suing their manager for making bad management choices? That's unheard of.
Shocking.
Wait a minute.
Shocking and controversial.
I don't even know that I can continue with my day with this horrible thought in my head.
Horrible.
I can't believe that somebody who's taking money from somebody might do something to jeopardize. Courtney, you know what?
Horrendous.
I don't drink and I may have to start.
Call 911.
I am. And the churro lady's not there today because it's a school holiday. So she's not there.
You can't give her, like, how much do you owe her? $1?
I owe her $1.
Mm.
I saw my friend.
Do you get 3 churros for the $1? What do you get? How much are the churros?
No. They're $1 a piece. The churros.
$1 a piece. Okay.
But it's 5. This is an embarrassing conversation. But the most embarrassing part about it is that I ran into my friend yesterday on the street who works at that school. And I go, you got to do me a favor. She goes, what? You want me to pick you up some churros? And I said, no, I owe churro lady.
Don't laugh. That
well, it's like when you're an adult, well, I mean, I'm outside of the school. I don't have a child in that school anymore. I did in 1994. But the point is that I said, no, I owe churro lady $1. And she goes, I don't think, I said, no, I don't want to be that person who owes churro lady $1.
Right.
So she said, I said, can you give her $1? She goes, I'll give her $1. What should I say? I say, tell her that the tall white lady, and she goes, because she speaks Spanish, my friend. She goes, all right. I think she probably has forgotten. I said, I don't want that on my conscience.
Right.
That I owe the churro lady.
Listen, if you got credit from the churro lady, you have to give her $1.
I'm good. Really? I don't need a fuck Joe Rogan. I got a churro for free on the house.
Word.
All right. On that ridiculous note, happy birthday to Lucian on the 3rd.
And Albert. And happy birthday to Albert.
Oh, yeah, let's say to Albert, since Albert actually listens to the show. Happy birthday to Albert.
He doesn't.
I know, but Albert returns my text. Right. Happy birthday to Albert. Albert did send me a very funny text a couple of days ago. He goes, it's almost Lucian's birthday. And I went, boy, that was subtle. Albert.
Right. Like, don't forget.
Yeah, don't forget, it's also my birthday too. Happy birthday, Albert. Happy birthday. Well, happy Aquarius. Happy New Year.
It is Aquarius season. Yeah.
It's Aquarius season. So
happy belated Stephanie's birthday just passed.
Oh, yeah.
My girlfriend Lisa Rose's birthday's coming up.
So the Super Bowl is this weekend or in 2 weekends?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay.
So 2 weeks we will have a show that I think is probably going to be pretty spectacular. You know what I mean? I think it should be pretty dope, you know?
Well, it's like kind of underdoggies, right? Mm. It's not like the flashy teams, right? I mean, the Bengals haven't been in
the Bengals haven't been in a gazillion years. Like I'm going team. I'm going to go for the Bengals just because I don't care and I enjoy the idea of a tiger. There. I wouldn't be upset if they won, but I really like to see Odell Beckham Jr. get a ring. I feel like he got fucked over. New York traded him to Cleveland. That was a disaster. I need OBJ to get his ring because we still love him. And on that note, kids, you know what it is. You know how to find us. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at Finishama. Follow us on... We really love you guys on Facebook. You're very
We do. There. You're very entertaining.
We're completely...
You're very entertaining, especially when you agree with us. We're
completely into it. I'm going to let you finish all one word. You know, IG, I'm going to let you finish NY. And we're on TikTok at I'm going to let you finish podcast. You know what I mean? And
the kids the kids.
And let me just tell you something. Our clips, you know, our promo clips that we put out for the show get... they really get views on TikTok.
Really? So does that mean we have to come up with a TikTok dance?
Yeah, I think we should come up with a TikTok.
I'm a good dancer, you know. I was voted most likely to appear on Soul Train when I was in high school. No, I was. It was in my fucking high school graduation thing.
That's fierce.
It was a very small. All right, I will preface it by saying it was a very small high school.
But still, look, bitch, you were like, honey.
I know how to dance.
They didn't say American Bandstand.
No, Soul Train.
They said Soul Train. You could.
They didn't say most likely to end up in prison.
Right. If they give you Soul Train, they're like, you can dance.
Yeah. No, that was good.
And you know the rest. Thank you. We're on the Pantheon Podcast Network, over 70 music shows. Check us out there. Check us out on the Pantheon Podcast channel on Pandora. We're on the Pantheon Podcast channel on Apple. We have our own channel on Apple. We're on Google. We're on Deezer. We're on iHeart. We are everywhere. Spotify. I can't name them all. Thank you guys. You really have been rocking with us. It's show 82. It's cold.
Show 81.
Oh, fuck.
Well, it will be show 82 next time.
The best part is I didn't know the name of the show this morning. And now I don't know what number show it is.
But that's okay because consistency is what's important. It's fine.
It's
just been a long week, and
you
it's
know
only
what it
Tuesday.
is? I'll tell you why. It's just because I've been so busy being a patriot and fighting for our freedoms this week that I can't remember what show it is.
Me too. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Numbers are just an abstract construct, like race and sexism. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. We'll see you kids next week. We love you. Bye.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.